Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2025 Rpod 192. We are just going to start off the back of the unit. If you notice, this customer did already opt to go with the observation camera, so we got that all set up with them. Additional to that, you too could go with the Rpod collapsible stair system. It's a ladder system that connects onto this back mount. It'll allow you to get up there with ease, check all your seals periodically. If you'd like to get set up with that, just contact our parts department and they can put together a quote for you. You've got your spare tire located right at the back. And then also at the back here is just the service port for your water heater. So you're just pulling that, opening that guy up. The two main things you really need to worry about in here is just this power switch. Turns power on to thermostat inside. And then you got your pressure relief valve. So unlike traditional water heaters, this guy you aren't bypassing. Traditionally, if you had a tanked water heater, you'd have bypass valves you need to turn during winterization. Complete opposite with this guy because it's just coils that go around in a circle. You want to run antifreeze through this system, obviously with it off. And then once you're done completing your winterization, cracking this pressure relief valve and leaving it cracked open for the period of winter, just so that when the antifreeze does get cold and gel up, it doesn't crack those coils. Always making sure you align this rubber grommet whenever you're closing it. That way it sits nice on there and properly seals everything off. Locking it into place, and then around the passenger side of the unit. Both sides of the unit for the bumper cap. Pull that guy off. That's typically where you're going to want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why it's not in there yet. But that's where you're going to want to put that after your first use. And then you got stabilizer jacks in all four corners of the unit, and the way they work is you're going to hook up your 3/4 inch drive tool onto the 3/4 inch drive nut, run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot contacts the ground, just giving another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Special note with this, these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks, so please don't try and use them like that, otherwise you do run the risk of bending them, and the same goes for if you're using an impact, always being mindful of how much torque you put on them whenever you're using them. Got your two low point drains right down here, so if you don't want water going stale or stagnant inside the lines because you're leaving it for a while, crack them open. It's going to drain as much water out of the lines as possible. Works really well for winterization as well, in case you want to crack them open just to allow some of the antifreeze out, so that way when it does expand in those cold winter months, it's not all pressurized. And then you do got your sewer dump. Taking that cap and giving it a twist, pops right out of place. You got those two ears there. Same two ears your sewer hose would have. They do just line up with the notches like so and twist and lock into place. You got your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty your black one first. It's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve. Typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. You got your 30 amp twist lock connection. Take note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Push, lock into place, 8th turn to lock it in. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is just your standard household plug. We can include that adapter. Just keep it in mind when you're using it. It's 15 amps power, so you're not going to be running your air conditioner. Realistically, it's just to run your fridge, your lights, and charge up your battery. Up from there, you got your furnace exhaust. Whenever that's running, it's going to be blowing out hot air, so be mindful of that. And then a little further up ahead, you got your fresh water fill. So if you're out boondocking, your site doesn't have water, this is how you're going to fill that tank. This cap here is the drain for it. It goes onto here. Just finished summarizing it, which is why it was off, allowing all the water to drain out. Now we can secure that back on. You'll be ready to fill up again. Then you got your city water connection. So if you're at a site with service, thread a garden hose in there and turn it on. It pressurizes all those lines without the needing to run your water pump. Inside this front compartment, bring you your starter pack. 10-foot sewer hose, which I've already told you about. It also comes with a 15-foot water hose, the 15 amp park adapter I told you about, and some other miscellaneous goodies. Inside this compartment here, you're going to note you got two little screws here on either side. Pop those off. That's when you're going to get access to your water pump for winterization, where your antifreeze inlet is. Up at the front, battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. Turn it to the off position, batteries would become disconnected from the unit. And in addition, it does disable the rest of the 12 volt inside. So if you're ever plugged in and you notice your 12 volts not working, it's probably this, making sure it's just connected. Battery's located inside this box here. Then you got this other cover for your propane. All you need to do is right from the top here, opening this guy up, right down below, standard propane tank, counterclockwise all the way to open up the flow to the unit. And if it were to go empty and you need to change it, you're just having to take this wing nut off, pull this cover right off. There'll be another wing nut you have to loosen off to get the tank out. You'll be good to go. Tongue jack right at the front. Now inside this compartment here, you got your little outside sprayer. Take a note of those 2 notches there. Opening up this guy. This is where you're gonna get access to that. Pushing them, locking them into place. Hot and cold water at the spray of a garden nozzle. Nice little feature. Some of them do only have cold water, so it is nice to give you that hot option. Additionally, inside here, you got your little exterior griddle. I'm gonna pull that out of place so I can show you quick. So at that point, you're gonna wanna grab your mount, your propane quick connect line, and I will come back for that griddle in a second. The quick connect line down below, folding out your griddle mount. Pretty simple. Hooking it onto the rail on the side of the unit, locking it down into place, making sure your 2 cotter pins are out of the way. Slide that griddle towards you. Pull it right out of the compartment. Now you got 2 round mounts on either side of the griddle, lining them up with these 2 rails here. Rods, sorry, not rails. Pushing that into place. Once it's fully on, you're going to expose those 2 holes where you can put your cotter pins in at that point. Then you can take your propane quick connect line. So as an added safety feature, it does work like a standard airline, except if you have the flow of propane on, it's not going to allow you to operate the collar as an added safety measure. Whenever you're putting it on, I always recommend assisting the regulator. Lock that into place, opening up the flow. And if you take this line, you can run it to this spot here where you are pre-plumbed in the propane system, pulling off the dust cap. Always important to put the dust cap back on whenever you're finished. That way you're not getting any debris inside the lines. Push, lock into place. Opening up the flow, opens up the flow to the griddle. Now if you've had the propane system off and you turn it back on, when you have had it off, it allows air into the system. Sometimes it can take a few minutes to purge all that air out of the lines. So I always recommend either trying to fire up the griddle or your stove inside, so that way when it comes time to lighting your water heater or anything else, you're not going to get any sort of fault codes because you haven't had enough air purged out of the lines. Black tank flush, so if you're noticing an odor around the unit or just some false monitor panel readings, thread a garden hose in there. But reading the caution sticker, it is very important that you have the sewer hose connected and the black tank open. Reason being, if you don't have the valve open and you're pushing pressure into the tank and the pressure's got nowhere to go, it could expand the tank to the point of cracking. So that's all that sticker says down there. So just be mindful of that whenever you're using it. And to get all this down, it would just be the total opposite, but just to save some time, I'll do that after the video. To get inside the unit, you're just taking this assist handle, pushing it up, folding it 90 degrees, it'll lock in place. That will allow you to open up your door. You have to have the door fully open. Get your stairs down, pulling that, it'll come towards you. Both sides, you got these little latches. You can adjust your stairs for your nice little stairs for your campsite needs. Now, with this door fully open, I'm gonna let you see now that it comes into contact with that awning arm. So before you ever run your awning, always being very careful to have the door closed 90 degrees, because if you tried to run it with it open, it could damage the door or the arms. So just be mindful of that. Taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, which is pretty much just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. On the wall, interior light switch turns on most of the interior lights as well as that bathroom light, and they all are also controlled individually, so you can turn them on and off as you desire. Porch light turns on that little porch light outside. Then you have an awning LED which turns on that. Making sure your door is closed 90 degrees. It'll allow you to operate the slide out the awning. Just pushing the awning extend button up. That'll allow that awning to start making its way out. Once fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Always keep an eye on wind speeds whenever you have this out, because it doesn't take much to rip your fabric or bend your arms. So due to space, we're not going to be able to go all the way out, but you'll see that the flap was starting to come down. You would have seen the back of the metal tube. Now if we were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, unlock them like so, push into place, lock it down. Now that changes the pitch of the awning header for when it start raining, allowing water to now run off the awning. Now, of course, this also does leave for more shade underneath, so if you want, you can do the same thing with the front arm, and you're going to get more shade, but always being sure that you always unlock these, allow it to go to its full extension, and relock them back into place before you bring it in. That way, you don't run the risk of bending anything or breaking anything. Bringing it in, as simple as holding that retract button, it's going to start rolling its way in. Again, to save some time, I'll just skip past that. And then you got your solar controller right up top. Now, I'm going to recommend you going over the owner's manual to get into all the settings that it offers, because it does get very in-depth. We do currently just have it set up for your basic charging needs. Whenever the sun's out, it's going to automatically put a charge to that battery. And like I said, it does go in-depth from there. Now that you're inside, got your little bedroom space, fire exit. You're going to notice that red tab there. Pull it, whole screen's going to pop out of place. At that point, you can grab this handle, push it on out of the unit, and climb on out. Now, to get your Murphy bed down, you're just having to remove the little bolsters off the side of the couch, set them off to the side. That then will allow you to grab the foot of the couch, fold it out, and then you can grab your travel latch, unlock it, fold that down, and of course, if there's nothing in the way, it would come down nicely. Then you can fold your bed down, and you have your bed out. Now to get that all back, obviously it's the direct opposite. You just be folding everything back into place. Just one last thing I'm going to note before I close it up. In the front here, this window does open up. It's a really nice feature you could use while you're sleeping or just enjoying the unit. Unlocking all these, that'll allow you to open up this window. You're going to see it moves freely. It's not going to stay up. You're going to notice some round tabs on the corresponding spots here. Tightening them clockwise, that'll allow it to hold that window up. You got another one on the other side. Now you can take your bug screen and pull that up, lock it into place, and you'd be having no bugs inside and possibly a nice breeze. It's also a shade if you pull it down the other way. They do just clip into each other. Then to get it down, obviously loosening off these guys and just clamping that all back into place before you start traveling again, or if it were to start raining, because again, you don't want to get wet in here. Get it all back, push that up, then you can fold your Murphy bed up, lock that into place, of course. Then just your couch folds back into place, and you can put those side bolsters back in. Over on this side here, not much other than your thermostat for your unit. Pushing and holding it is going to turn it on. It's going to go to your last known mode, so in this case it was air conditioning. Up and down at any time to change your set temperature you desire. Now you can adjust your fan speed when you're on cool, pushing the fan button. You can go between low, high, and then you get A. Whenever you're on low or high, regardless of what you have the room set to, the fan's going to run regardless for the air conditioner. If you have it on automatic, it means it's going to become an on-demand system. So as soon as, if the room's set to 16, it's at 18. Once it hits 16, it's going to cut the air conditioner and save all that power. Pushing the button again, you're going to kill the air conditioner, fire up the furnace. The furnace has one fan speed, runs all the time. If you have the furnace on, whenever you turn it off, it does run for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself to cool down. Then you can get over to fan. Now whenever you're in fan, you're just moving air around with the air conditioner, no heat, air cooling involved. Changing the speed with the button. And then one more time you go to dry. It's just a dehumidifying mode. Pushing and holding it will allow you to turn that back off. Now you come into your nice kitchen area. Range hood. I always recommend running the range hood whenever you're running your stove. That way you're evacuating those propane fumes. Also acts as a light. Lots of storage all around this unit. Of course, just be mindful of drains and water lines whenever you get to all of them. And the blinds in the unit just sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Now for lighting the stove, like I mentioned earlier, for the griddle, I always recommend, if you've had the propane system off, just giving this a quick light. Just the easiest method to purge all the air out of the lines without getting any fault codes. Pushing the knobs in, turning it over to the light option, and it does light right on up. Of course, I had the propane running earlier, so that's why I did fire up so quick. You got some knob light illumination lights too if you wanted to turn those on. Convection oven right down below, just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. Your little dinette area, nice little spot. You can also turn this into a bed if you were to have more guests. You're just having to remove these bottom legs from underneath the table, set the tabletop on the edges. Then you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. Like I said, storage all around. Stereo system pretty much just like home, except having zone 1 and zone 2. Right here, you're going to notice your coax outlet. This little black button beside it. Pushing that on turns the green light on. Now that also turns the antenna on the roof. It also improves radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So I always typically leave it on whenever I'm camping and turning it off whenever I'm done with the unit, because it will draw battery power if you don't turn it off. TV just like home. Furnace blows all its air out of here. So if you wanted to get a little fan to move some air around, I'd recommend doing so. But typically it's just going to move all its air through here. And then up top, your air conditioner. You can either close these louvers, in which case it'll move its air through the ceiling ducting we have throughout, or you can open them, in which case it'll dump all its air into the living space. Now back around on this side, a couple things I did forget. You got test on the bottom, reset in the middle. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, they all are GFI protected, so if this guy's tripped, none of your 120 outlets will work. Then you got your monitor panel system. So you push the thing you want to read, it's going to tell you the corresponding level. Water pump switch, turning that on, turns on the water pump, which does out of your fresh tank. Water heater option. So you're going to see there's no power here. You do have to turn this switch on first, which then supplies power to this. On and off. You can turn it on and off with this. I would recommend just using this. Celsius and Fahrenheit with the press of a button. And then you can go up and down to change your set temperature. Pretty simple. Now last but not least, taking a step on into the bathroom. Storage all throughout your basic bathroom. Up top above my head, you got your little roof vent. Pulling it down unlocks it. Will allow you to open up that vent. You're going to see this customer did already opt to go with our Max Air cover. Great little addition. Stops it from getting wet in here. Also, you can travel with it on and not have to worry about damaging your lid. The power button turns on to your first lowest fan setting, and then you got 4 more settings from there. Off button to turn it off, and then of course counterclockwise to close it, and just making sure you do lock it into place. That is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.